Here's something else pretty darn interesting, and I'm going to trust who's reporting this. I don't think this has been officially confirmed that he's going to officially visit this month, but On3 has reported. I saw this from Stephen Wagner with the incredible mustache. I think Chad Simmons was reporting this as well. That Jeremiah Smith, 5-star wide receiver, Ohio State commit, that he is looking to visit Miami. It's actually a midweek visit, June 21st. Okay. He does have multiple OVs locked in despite being an Ohio State verbal commit. So it looks like Jeremiah Smith, even though he did claim a while back he wasn't going to be back on Miami's campus, it seems he will be back on Miami's campus. But it is a midweek visit. Is that a good thing, or is that like a throwaway, or is there any sort of pattern with how those midweek visits go?
Typically, they don't work out well, but this is a different era because it's going to be in the middle of summer. The kids aren't on campus at the same time students are. So June visits, while schools are doing in the NCAA, it's a lot harder for a kid to get a gauge of what campus life is really like anyway, and nobody's there. So I don't think it's as big an impact as it used to be. Plus, Jeremiah he's lived in South Florida forever. He knows Miami's campus. It's not like this is a Los Angeles kid coming and you need to get the full gamut. His recruitment is bizarre. He's been committed to Ohio State forever. I know him well, but Florida's getting a visit. He's visited Georgia. He's going to visit Miami. Florida State's after. Everybody's after him. You just got to take your swing. I'm not projecting anything at this point. I have no idea. And it's not like anybody's going to stop recruiting him. Right. If he flipped to Georgia or Miami today, would anybody stop recruiting Jeremiah?
No.
So he's the best player in the country.
He'll get a call from Dion Sanders on signing day. Like no one's going to stop recruiting this guy.
No, and I get it. You shouldn't. He's a tremendous kid and he's a tremendous player. Go for it. So only thing you can do is bring him in for an official, and they're going to try to get him in, committed or not, for visits in the fall too. This is a long process. Anybody in the top 50, I could care less if they're committed to somebody. That's kind of my new rule. I hate it, but these kids do not honor commitments, very much at all. So why should I?
So speaking of taking swings, Miami's trying to flip a pair of Georgia commits. Let's talk first about 5-star cornerback Ellis Robinson IV from IMG Academy. He talked just this week about how he speaks with Mario Cristobal every single day, and he doesn't have that sort of relationship with any other head coach. So it sounds like Mario is the head coach that's been the most personable with Ellis, and it's pretty well documented how hard Miami's been trying to flip this young man from his Georgia commitment. How much of a chance do you think Miami has here?
I think Georgia is going to be the favorite until otherwise proven, but that, like, your information there just kind of points, maybe he thinks he made too early of a decision. I'm not sure, because why would you continuously take his call unless you're truly interested?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. So if he's taking the visit and he's got one coming up to UM, and you're continuously talking to the coaching staff at that same institution, you're a player. You know what I mean? Miami is a player in this, and I don't even know who I would put next after them. I think this is primarily a Georgia-Miami battle. Again, like Jeremiah and some other, they're not going to stop recruiting this kid. Let's be very clear. But if you're talking to him every day, and then you have Miami's situation at corner, which is not much depth, it's not a hard sell. So he has a chance to come in and start as a freshman. Not likely at Georgia that's going to happen. So I'm curious to see what he says at the end of this month, because if he's still open to Miami and others, then I'm going to just completely disregard the fact that he's committed to Georgia. Because at some point, it's talk is cheap, but what are your actions? So let's see how many places he actually goes through and visits this month and see what he says about the Canes.
And Robinson is going to be part of the June 9th official visit weekend, which has over a dozen, I think 13 or so players, including multiple 5-stars, will be visiting that weekend. Another Georgia commit, 4-star safety Jalen Hayward, is going to be visiting Miami on June 23rd. I have heard, Brian, some buzz out of Georgia that is someone who might flip. I think they kind of have him on flip watch, and Miami's been putting in a lot of work for Jalen Hayward. And, for whatever it's worth, he wore Miami sweats to an event over the weekend, and that got a lot of track. I know I'm laughing inside. Brian's laughing on the outside. We see stuff like this, but this is obviously Jalen Hayward is someone that they've been working pretty hard on. Where do you think they stand with him?
They put a lot of work in with him, and he's a Florida kid. He's from the Space Coast area. He goes to Rockledge High. I know him well. He's one of those guys, when he committed as early as he did, I remember congratulating him, but I remember saying to myself, this isn't going to be anywhere near the end of his recruitment.
Yeah.
He's a kid that's all over the place. He's had schools forever after him. I didn't think it was in his best interest to commit early because I knew he was going to take a ton of visits. This is proof of it. Miami is one of several. Like Florida or Florida State would probably love to take his commitment too. This is a big-time ball player. Miami's the trend, though. And I don't know what the reason is. I haven't talked to Jalen recently, but I wonder if Kirby Smart's tired of recruiting him at this point. So I would imagine he'll take at least 3, if not 4 visits officially at some point. So this is another long play, but Miami is the trending pick, as you mentioned. And that's a good sign for the Canes.